share who Shackley is. One of the great things that we did just last month was this workshop on storytelling with Pete Vargas and Pat Quinn. And what I want to do for a minute is spotlight someone who has taken advantage of that workshop and has crafted her story. So it's really a delight for me. Never met in person, but now we get to meet. Raina Graham, she's a senior executive coordinator. She's from Alabama. Get this, leading a team of leaders for 37 years in Shackley. And you're going to hear her story of what she's crafted as a single mom, raising a teenager, looking for a plan B, finding a way to create an income that would give her more flexibility than the 8-to-5 job that she had at that time. So we've asked Raina if she would share just a little snippet of what she learned from our focus on storytelling and how it's working for her. So Raina, welcome to the call.
Thank you. Well, I love that webinar. So thank you so much for providing that for us. And even last year, our team was working, and we started a little thing called This Is My Story. And we did pretty good with it, but it turned out that most everybody had a longer story than what was really needed. So I took advantage of this webinar that you offered and even had some little private coaching. And I feel better about my story at this point than I have in the past.
Okay, so let's just ask this: how long did it take you to tell your story? I mean, because you've probably got a lot of story to tell, right?
Well, over the years, I'm sure I've bored people to death. It probably took way too long. But even telling our team last year, do it 3 minutes. And as much as I love them, I realize it needs to be shorter.
That's awesome. Okay, so here's what I'm going to ask people to do. Get on the edge of your seat and lean in, Raina, as she tells her story that she's crafted from the Pete and Pat storytelling workshop. And you said you got a little bit of extra, maybe a little bit of extra tutoring. But when I heard this story, I just thought, this is pretty remarkable what you've done with that. So share your story.
Okay. Well, many years ago, I found myself a single mom alone with a teenager to support, and my financial situation was really concerning. And with all the emotional things that you're dealing with, going through those type changes, I really didn't want an 8-to-5 job. So I had some friends that really were encouraging me. This is the time, Raina. Why don't you go for your dream? But I was just plain scared, to tell you the truth. But I did it. And I launched my business, and I'm so thankful I did, because it wasn't long before, instead of feeling just sort of emotionally draining, I felt energized. And actually, rather than feeling alone like I had been, I was in a very supportive community. And as I think back, just working at home and being able to choose where I live and having a schedule that was flexible, and especially an income with no ceiling, well, it just gave me a real sense of peace. And you know, what was icing on the cake was when I started earning those all expense incentive trips and the car bonus. Now, that was really neat for me. And so about a year ago, one of my friends that had suggested that I start this business said, Raina, I think that was one of your wisest life decisions for you and for others. And you know what? I agreed, because really over the past 30 odd years, I have had the privilege of mentoring many toward a life of wellness for them, whether it's finances or health. And I just wonder if you've ever considered a side gig or earning some extra income. Well, I believe right now what I can share with you in today's world can make a difference. So I hope we can connect.
That is so good. I mean, first off, congratulations. And secondly, I know that didn't happen without some work and some refinement, and with a lot of introspection. I was just, as you shared that, there is a piece of that, just some buzzwords that become totally relatable. And I know that Pete and Pat talked about, how do you differentiate yourself? and how do you hit some of those buzzwords that will create a community with those people? And, you know, as I was listening to that, I thought, you know, it kind of answers some questions. Really, it's life's grand questions, right? It's, who are you? Where do you come from? Where do you want to go? And what's of meaning to you? And that just happened in that story. And I think any time that you're trying to reach out to somebody else and trying to get them to consider something new, those grand questions probably can be answered. And you just did that magnificently, Raina, in that story. So just as people go back and start to say, okay, I need to work on my story, what's the one piece that you would say that you must do? What was the most critical piece?
Well, I think the thing I was appreciated so much when they, from that was they said, you've got to start at the first to where you're grabbing someone's attention. Not everyone has been a single mom with a teenager, but because that was my story, I realized that's what I needed to start with. And then I think they need to see a few little perks along. And you know that part where I said in there that my friend said to me, Rena, I didn't feel comfortable doing that, but they really taught us that is important. I'm not even trying to tell you why, but they said it's very important to have your name in there. It grabs attention as people are listening. So you're right. I've changed this several times and I may change it again, but it feels really good. And I feel like now I can be able to guide our team to make their story a little bit shorter.
Well, shorter and more compelling. And again, something that you'd be willing to share with other people because it's filled again with relatability. And the other thing that kind of happened as I was listening to you, you feel the confidence coming from you. As you're telling that story, as it should. So, Raina, a great example. Thank you so much. I'm sure everyone's going to be reaching out to you and say, can you kind of write that out for us? And you go, no, go figure it out on your own. You got your own story to tell.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, thank you so much. So,